I will be continuing with the next series of lecture in the subject network and cyber security, and I call this as module 1-2.
Let us now look into the revision module, the third video of module 3, IP security. It is also the last revision module. We'll be referring to the same textbook, that is William Stelling, Cryptography and Network Security Principles and Practices. So in this particular video, we have already seen in the earlier videos about IP security overview, encapsulating security payloads. In this video, we'll look into the combination security association, basic combinations of security association, followed by internet key exchange, which has two subtitles, key determination protocol, header and payload formats, and it will be followed by cryptographic suite. So these three we'll be looking into in this particular video.
Basic combinations of security associations. We know that a security association is a logical connection involving two devices that transfer data. With the help of the defined IPsec protocols, SAs offer data protection for unidirectional traffic. In this particular course, we are going to see the different combinations of security associations. The IPsec architecture document lists four examples of combinations of SAs that must be supported by compliant IPsec host. Example workstation server or security gateways, example firewall router. These are illustrated in figure next slide. The lower part of each case in the figure represents the physical connectivity of the elements. The upper part represents the logical connectivity via one or more nested SAs. Each SA can be either AH or AESP. For host-to-host SAs, the mode may be either transport or tunnel, otherwise it must be tunnel mode. This is the case 1 and represents the combination of security association. We can see that the lower part is the physical connectivity and upper part what we can see is the logical connectivity. So between the host ends, SAs are connected, one or more SAs are connected, and each SA could be AH or ESP. We know that AH is a protocol that provides authentication of either or all or part of the contents of a datagram, whereas ESP provides the actual encryption. In the case 1, all security is provided between end systems that implement IPsec. For any two end systems to communicate via an SA, they must share the appropriate secret keys. So among the possible combinations, AH can be in transport mode or ESP can be in transport mode, and C, ESP followed by AH in transport mode, and ESP SA inside an AH SA, that is, and D is any of these A, B, C inside an AH or ESP in tunnel mode. We have already discussed how these various combinations can be used to support authentication, encryption, authentication before encryption, and authentication after encryption. In case 2, we observe that the security is provided between the security gateway, that is security gateway here implements IPsec, and not between the end systems. In case 2, security is provided only between gateways, that is routers, firewalls, etc., and no hosts implement IPsec. This case illustrates simple virtual private network support. The security architecture document specifies that only a single tunnel SA is needed for this case. The tunnel could support AH, ESP, or ESP with the authentication option. Nested tunnels are not required. because the IPsec services apply to the entire inner packet. This is case 3 where we can see that the logical layer is built upon case 2, that is there is security bundle between the gateways and also the case 1, that is between the end systems. So as can be seen in case 3, this is built on case 2 by adding end-to-end security as in case 1. The same combinations discussed for case 1 and case 2 are allowed here. The gateway to gateway tunnel provides either authentication, confidentiality, or both for all traffic end systems. When the gateway to gateway tunnel is ESP, it also provides a limited form of traffic confidentiality. Individual hosts can implement any additional IPsec services required for given application or given users by means of end-to-end essays. This is case 4 where we can see that the remote host is trying to access via internet the firewall of an organization host. And in the physical layer we can see it can use one or two essays as in case 1, but between the remote host and the security gateway you will have to use the tunnel essay. So in case 4, it provides support for a remote host that uses the internet to reach an organization's firewall and then to gain access to some server or workstation behind the firewall. Only tunnel mode is required between the remote host and the firewall. As in case 1, one or two essays may be used between the remote host and the local host.
So now we have been looking into the IP security. We have already dealt with these three topics in our earlier video. And now we have seen this combining security association, basic combination of security associations. And now onwards, we will see Internet Key Exchange, which has got two subtitles, Key Determination Protocol and Header and Payload formats. This will be followed by cryptographic suits.
In the Internet Key Exchange, the IKE, short form for Internet Key Exchange, and sometimes IKE v1 or IKE v2, these are the versions 1 and 2. It is nothing but the protocol which is used to set up a security association in the IPsec protocol suite. IKE is built upon the Oakley protocol and ISAKMP. We'll see the full form in the next slide. The key management portion of IPsec involves the determination and distribution of secret. The Internet Key Exchange. A typical requirement is a 4 keys for communication between two applications, transmit and receive pairs for both integrity and confidentiality. The IPsec architecture document mandates support for two key types of key management, manual and the other is automated. For manual, a system administrator manually configures each system with its own keys and with the keys of other communicating systems. This is a practical for small and relatively static environment. But in case we have got a big environment, then an automated system enables the on-demand creation of keys for essays and facilitates the use of keys in this large distributed system with an evolving configuration. The default automated key management protocol for IPsec is referred to as ISAKMP/Oakley and consists of the following elements. Oakley Key Determination Protocol. Oakley is a key exchange protocol based on Diffie-Hellman algorithm but providing added security. Oakley is generic in that it does not dictate specific formats. Internet Security Association and Key Management Protocol, also known as ISAKMP, it provides a framework for Internet key management and provides the specific protocol support, which includes formats for negotiation and security attributes. The ISAK-MP by itself does not dictate a specific key exchange algorithm. It consists of a set of message types that enables the use of a variety of key exchange algorithms. OCLE is a specific key exchange algorithm mandated for use with the initial version of ISAK-MP. In IKEv2, the terms OCLE and ISAK-MP are no longer used, and there are insignificant differences from the use of OCLE and ISAK-MP in IKEv1. Nevertheless, the basic functionality is the same. In this section, we describe the IKEv2, that is version 2 specifications. The Internet Key Exchange version 2 is a VPN encryption protocol that handles request and response actions. It makes sure the traffic is secure by establishing and handling the SA, that is Security Association attribute within an authentication suite, usually IPsec, since IKEv2 is basically based on it and built into it.
Now, let us look into the internet key exchange that we have just seen. Now let us look into the protocol, and we'll also see what are the features of IKE key determination, the cookie generation basic requirements, authentication methods, IKE v2 exchanges, and followed by header and payload format. So now we have already seen these four topics, and in internet key exchange we are going further into the video. Exchange Key Determination Protocol. IKE key determination is a refinement of Diffie-Hellman key exchange algorithm. It is computationally intensive. As a result, it is vulnerable to a clogging attack in which an opponent requests a high number of keys. The victim spends considerable amount of computing resources doing useless modular exponentiation rather than the real work. IKE key determination is designed to retain the advantage of Diffie-Hellman while countering its weaknesses. Features of IKE key determination. The IKE key determination algorithm is characterized by five important features. It employs a mechanism known as cookies to thwart clogging attacks. It enables the two parties to negotiate a group. This, in essence, specifies the global parameter of the Diffie-Hellman key exchange. It uses nonces. Now, what are nonces? A nonce is an arbitrary number used only once in a cryptographic communication to ensure any replay attacks. It enables the exchange of Diffie-Hellman public key values. It authenticates the Diffie-Hellman exchange to thwart man-in-the-middle attack. So these are the features of IKE key determination. Now let us look at IKE mandates that cookie generation satisfies three basic requirements. The cookies must depend on the specific parties. That is, this prevents the attacker from obtaining a cookie using a real IP address and UDP port and then using it to swamp the victim with requests from randomly chosen IP addresses or ports. It must, that is the second out of the three, the second is it must not be possible for anyone other than the issuing entity to generate cookies that will be accepted by that entity. This implies that the issuing entity will use local security information in the generation and subsequent verification of a cookie. The point of this requirement is that the issuing entity need not save copies of its cookies, which are then more vulnerable to discovery but can verify an incoming cookie acknowledgement when it needs. So, this is the second. The third, the cookie generation and verification methods must be fast to thwart attacks intended to sabotage processor resources. Now, authentication methods used in IKE key determination. Three different authentication methods can be used with IKE determination. That is digital signatures. The exchange is authenticated by signing a mutually obtainable hash. Each party encrypts the hash with its private key. The hash is generated over important parameters such as user IDs and nonces. Next is public key encryption. The exchange is authenticated by encrypting parameters such as IDs and nonces with the sender's private key. Symmetric key encryption. A key derived by some out of band mechanism can be used to authenticate the exchange by symmetric encryption of exchange parameters. So, these are the authentication methods used with IKE key determination. Next, let us look at IKE v2 exchanges, that's version 2. Now, the IKE v2 protocol involves the exchange of messages in pairs. The first pairs of exchange are referred to as the initial exchange. In the first exchange, the two peers exchange information concerning cryptographic algorithms and other security parameters they are willing to use, along with nonces and Diffie-Hellman's values. The result of this exchange is to set up a special assay called as IKE assay. This assay defines parameters for a secure channel between the peers over which subsequent message exchange takes place. Thus, all subsequent IKE message exchanges are protected by encryption and message authentication. In the second exchange, the two parties authenticate one another and set up a first IPsec assay to be placed in the SADB and used for protecting ordinary, that is non-IKE communication between the peers. Thus, four messages are needed to establish the first assay for general use. The create child assay exchange can be used to establish further assays for protecting the traffic. The information exchange is used to exchange management information, IKE v2 error message and other notifications. Now, we have seen the internet key exchange in which we have seen key determination protocol. We have seen the features of IKE key determination, cookie generation basic requirements we have seen. Then we have seen the authentication methods and we have also seen the KEV2 exchanges. Now we will continue with header and payload formats. In that there are two subtitles, IKE header format, IKE payload, and this will be followed by cryptographic. Now continuing with this, the header and payload formats. IKE defines procedures and packet formats to establish, negotiate, modify, and delete security association. As part of the assay establishment, IKE defines payloads for exchanging key generation and authentication data. These payload formats provide a consistent framework independent of the specific key exchange protocol, encryption algorithm, and authentication mechanism. So the header and payload for continuing with IKE header format. IKE message consists of an IKE header followed by one or more payloads, that is generic payload header payloads. All of this is carried in the transport protocol. The specification dictates that implementations must support the use of UDP for the transport protocol. Now this is the diagram for IKE header, and we can see the initiator IPI SPI is a 64 bit. Here this is the initiator, and that is called as initiator security parameter index. It's a 64 bit, a value chosen by the initiator to identify a unique IKE security association. So this is an identifier. Next is responder SPI. So this is the responders secure parameter index SPI, a value chosen by the responder to identify the unique IKE SA. Next is next payload. So the next payload is here. This is the 8 bit, and it indicates the type of first payload in the message, and payloads are discussed in subsequent sections. Major version 4 bit here indicates the major version of IKE in use. Minor version indicates the minor version of the IKE that is in use. Next is exchange type. This is 8 bit and it indicates the type of exchange. These are discussed again later on. Next is the flags. The flags are 8 bits and it indicates specific options set for this IKE exchange. 3 bits out of these 8 are defined so far. The initiator bit indicates whether this packet is sent to SA initiator. The version bit indicates whether the transmitter is capable of using a higher major version number than the one currently indicated. And the response bit indicates whether this is a response to a message containing the same message ID. Next is message ID here. This is again 32 bit and used to control retransmission of lost packets and matching of requests and responses. Next is the length, again 32 bit here, and the length of total message, that is header plus all payloads, in octets. So this is the IKE header. Next, let us look at the IKE payload types or the generic payload header. So all IKE payloads begin with the same generic payload header as shown in this figure. The next payload here has a value of 0 if this is the last payload in the message. Otherwise, its value is of the type 1 of the next payload. The payload length. Here, the payload length field indicates the length in octets of this payload, including the generic payload header. The critical bit here, the critical bit is 0 if the sender wants the recipient to skip this payload if it does not understand the payload type code in the next payload field here of the previous payload. It is set to 1 if the sender wants the recipient to reject this entire message if it does not understand the payload type. Now let us look at IKE payload types. So this table basically summarizes the payload types here, and here we have got the parameters. So we can see the security association type, key exchange, identification certificate, authentication nouns, and so forth. These are the different types of IKE payloads and the appropriate parameters with respect to this type, like for security association proposals. So this table has basically gives the summary of the payload types that are defined for IKE, and it also lists the fields and parameters that are part of each payload. The SA payload, that is security association, is used to begin the establishment of an SA. The payload has a complex hierarchical structure. The payload may contain multiple proposals. Each proposal may contain multiple protocols, and each protocol may contain multiple transforms. So this is your IKE payload types for you. So now we have been looking into the header and payload formats here, IKE header formats and IKE payload types also we have seen in the form of table. Let us continue with the cryptographic suite. Cryptographic suites. The IPsec v3 and IKE v3 protocols rely on a variety of types of cryptographic algorithms. So as we have seen in this book, there are many cryptographic algorithms of each type, each with a variety of parameters such as key size. To promote interoperability, two RFCs defined recommended suites of cryptographic algorithms and parameters for various applications. RFC 4308, it defines two cryptographic suites for establishing virtual private network. That is, suit VPN-A matches the commonly used corporate VPN security used in older IKE v1 implementation at the time of issuance of IKE v2 in 2005. Next is Suit VPN-B. It provides stronger security and is recommended for new VPNs that implement IPsec v3 and IKE v2. So this is the cryptographic suite for IPsec, and in this table we see the list of algorithms here and the parameters for these two suites, that is VPN-A and VPN-B. So we have got ESP encryption, ESP integrity, IKE encryption, IKE PRF. So these are all the algorithms, and how this VPN-A and VPN-B, they exact which algorithm is used for encryption. So 3DES CBC here, and VPN-B uses AES CBC, and so forth. So these are the different algorithms that are being used for encryption, integrity, and all this. So there are several points to note about these two suites. Note that for symmetric cryptography, VPN-A relies on 3DES and HMAC. Okay, and while VBN relies exclusively on AES. So much you can keep in mind. So this is basically the virtual private network RFC 4308 and the algorithms and parameters for the two suites. Now let us continue with cryptographic suites for IPsec. So RFC 6379, this defines four optional cryptographic suites that are compatible with the United States National Security Agency Suite B specification. So for the different requirements, we have got the different algorithms, and these are the four cryptographic suites that are available to us. So GCM 128, GCM 256, GMAC 128, GMAC 256. So the four suites are differentiated by the choice of cryptographic algorithms. So which cryptographic algorithm they are using. So here it is like AES GCM 128 bit key. So that is used in GCM 128. So if the key is 256, it will come to GCM 256, like that. So depending upon the algorithm strength and the choice of whether ESP is to provide both confidentiality and integrity or only integrity, like that. So based on that, these four suites are available in RFC 6379. So this is the NSA Suite B RFC 4869. So we have been seeing in this particular module 3 IP security overview, IP security policy. This we saw in the revision 3.1, and then we saw encapsulating security payload and combining security association in the revision module 3.2. Then in this particular video, which is revision module 3.3, we have been looking into the basic combination of security association. We also dealt with the internet key exchange, and we also dealt with the cryptographic suits. So we have come to the end of this module 3, and these are the question bank modules. I think all these questions could be answered if you have attended all the 3 modules of my revision module 3.1, 3.2, and 3.3. However, I'll be giving you the question bank with answers in a separate PDF file that you can collect. So thank you, and feel free to ask any questions regarding this particular module.